Well, this is a great day. The Chiefs pulled out another one today, didn't they? Just barely, though, but they did it. But the real focus of today is the Holy Family. The Holy Family of Nazareth and the tremendous model and example of family life that they give. And we all know that in some way it's an unrealistic example of family life. When you have the Blessed Mother as the mother, St. Joseph as foster father, and God incarnate as the Son. Not very realistic, perhaps, for us to follow. But even that reading today, I think, talks about the humanity of the Holy Family. That was within the Holy Family that human give and take that must be there within all the families. That human misunderstanding that can take place. Jesus stays behind. He feels that's the normal, natural thing he should do because he knows that he is drawn to the temple there. And yet Mary and Joseph, when they come in, they're very anxious and they're very upset and they're worried. They're concerned. And so they, ask, why have you done this to us? That human impatience that's there. So real within family life. And so we shouldn't distance ourselves too far from the Holy Family, recognizing that they can be a model for us and certainly great intercessors within our own family life. But what is so very important is that we realize the holiness of our own family as well. And I think that's one of the things that perhaps we don't reflect upon enough, is that our family life is truly holy. Our relationships within marriage and parenting are truly holy relationships. They are expressive of the holiness of God, and they are expressive of our own call to holiness. That truly the family is the school of holiness. It's the way in which we grow in a relationship of self-giving love. What is holiness but to model and to reflect the self-giving love of God? That self-giving love of God by which we were created. That self-giving love of God by which we are nurtured. That self-giving love of God by which we are redeemed and welcomed into the fullness of life. And it's the self-giving love of husband and wife that brings forth the gift of children. It's that self-giving love that enables the children to grow and to develop. Truly that is the school of holiness, the call to sanctity. There's probably no greater relationship than within marriage and family, when people are called to die to selfishness and truly become more self-giving, more generous in their lives. That's what holiness is about. In our opening prayer today, we prayed that we might live the virtues of family life. And I'm sure there's many, many different virtues needed within family life. But I would reflect with you for a moment this evening upon three in particular that I think are very, very crucial to all human relationships, and particularly within families. Number one, patience. Patience. We need to be patient with each other. My mother raised 6 children. She said she learned patience the day the last one moved out. Not too unrealistic. But patience is so very important. That willingness to be patient with the weakness of others. To be patient for how long it takes people to grow and to develop. But to be there for each other in patience. And to realize that there's 2 different types of impatience. And I think this is important, particularly for mothers, but also for fathers. There's a selfish impatience. You're not doing it my way and I'm upset and angry with you. That type of impatience. Now that's wrong. And that could be sinful. But there's another impatience without which children would never learn. There's that need to be impatient sometimes, calling forth the best within our young people, the best within each other. And that impatience is not sinful. That's not wrong. That's necessary. And so when we talk about patience, we're talking about trying to do what is the best for the other person, enabling that other person to know their responsibility, to grow in their life, and to grow as an individual into maturity. That's what patience is about. The second is forgiveness. We all step on each other's toes sometimes, and we need to be able to forgive. And forgiveness is not always easy. Forgiveness sometimes is very difficult because the wounds can be pretty deep and pretty long-lasting. But who's really wounded is even more so by an attitude of unforgiveness. How important those very simple words are. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I forgive you. And yet how easily those stick within our throats. They stick there rather than being readily expressed. Forgiveness is what we hope for, and forgiveness is what we are called to share. And thirdly, gratitude. Of saying thank you. Of saying, I appreciate that. I appreciate you. So often people feel taken for granted within marriages. I think that's one of the challenges within marriages, is that sometimes we begin to take the other person for granted. And it's so important that they know that they are appreciated. As adults, we need that appreciation. As parents, we need that appreciation. And yes, as children, to be able to truly express appreciation for even the simplest things of life, to be grateful and to express that gratitude. And to be grateful to God as well for all of God's blessings. For a family is called to gather together in prayer, in praise of God, who is the source of family life, who is the grace that brings families together. And so today we celebrate the holiness of your families, the holiness of your lives as you live in the Spirit of Jesus, loving, forgiving, patient, and grateful. What important qualities for all of us to live. The Feast of the Holy Family is the feast for every one of us to celebrate the great blessing of our family life.